Well, hello again and welcome to a new video. In this second video, I'm going to repeat what I did in the first video with a different example and a different situation. But before I do that, there's one thing that I want to show you here that I created this application a few weeks ago. And this application has a simple job is to simply show me to do networking calculations. So I use this application to verify my work. So if I come here and put the IP address that I was working with, 192.168.139-76, prefix of 27, and I will click on network information, and you'll see the entered IP address is whatever I entered. The network IP address is 64, just like I have here. And then the subnet mask is 255.255.255.224, and here it is. This is what I have here. And then after that, we said the number of hosts is 30. Here it is. The broadcast IP address is 95, and here it is. The first available IP address is 65, and the last available IP address is 94. Now for the broadcast and the first and last, I didn't put the prefixes. I can do that if I want to, but this is just, again, for verification and verification only. So let's open a new window, and I'll get back to this one. Now the IP address that I'm going to be using here is very similar to the one that I used before with a prefix of 22. So if I put 22 here and click here, it will show me the results, and here they are. 139.76, that's the given one. This is, again, the network IP address. This is how many hosts we can have. The number is really big. This is the broadcast. This is the first. This is the last. Let's go ahead and do the calculations and come back to this and do a comparison. Now, of course, a lot of the calculations that I did in the previous example, I'm going to try to get them done a little bit faster. So let's go ahead. First thing first, we got a prefix of 22. So I need to convert that into a form of binary, of course. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, I know 192.168, and if I just go ahead and put that in the form of ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. That's where I stop. And then I put 2 zeros. Now remember here, every one of those octets should contain 8 bits. So if those are 6 ones, the left are going to be zeros, and the rest here are simply going to be zeros. So we got 8 zeros. Now with that being said, now we have a new line, and that line is simply located here. So let me just make it a little bit longer. Okay, so now we have this line here to be the line that separates the host portion here from the network portion here. And let's start with the calculation. Let's start with the subnet mask. Now the subnet mask is simply going to be 255, 255, and those are 6 ones followed by 2 zeros. And this is all 0. So this is going to be 0. This is going to be 255. This is going to be 255. And for this part, what I like to do, I think if since I know if they are all ones, it's going to be 255, and then I know that those two by themselves, those 2 zeros represent 3. So if I just subtract 3 from here, this is going to make it 252. So that's this portion here. That's 252. So let's go ahead and write the subnet mask based on the calculation that we have here. So it's going to be 255.255.252.0. That's very, very important to remember. Okay, now let's go ahead and clean this mess that we have here. I don't need this anymore. I take it away. Delete this, and delete this. So that's the first thing that I know. Now let's do the calculation for the number of usable IP addresses as well, since we are talking about it. So how many bits do I have for the host portion? It's 10, 8 plus 2. So 2 to the power of 10 minus 2, that will give me the number. Of course, I need to have a calculator here. Calculator. So 2 to the power of 10 equal this number minus 2, and that's 1022. So let's go ahead and type that, 1022. And here it is. How many of those? 1022. Okay, let's clean that as well. Let's start with the IP address of the network. Now, what we said here, simply, we take this IP address and we put it here. Now, since those are 8 ones and 8 ones, I know for sure there's no need for me to play with anything here. So I'm going to be playing here with this octet and this octet. Now, this one, since all zeros, I know no matter what you have here, they're all going to be set to 0. So that's another fact. Now, so this 76 will simply going to be set to 0 for the network IP address. Now for this 139, this is where I have to convert it to binary to be able to see how will be the last results. Now what I need to do here, I can do the calculation really fast here, but I'm just going to go and use Windows calculator. So let's go ahead and click here into programmer, click on binary, and click on 6 ones followed by 2 zeros. And that is, oh, wait a minute. Well, no, my bad. Click on the decimal part, clear it, and it's 139. Here is the binary representation for 139. And let me just write it down. Let's see here. It's 1 4 zeros and then 1011. So 1 4 zeros and then 1 0. Let's just go back here. 1011. Okay, so 140 is 10 and 11. That's simply this number here is 139. Now we said every single number of bits after the red line to the right will be set to 0. So all I have to do is convert those to zeros, and that will give me the network IP address for this octet. So now if I want to convert this back to decimal, I know for sure those 2 that I had here represent 3 in the summation of all these values. So if I just subtract 3 from this number, I will get the number. Again, if this is too much to understand, let's just put it this way. It's 128, 64, no, 32, no, 16, no, and then 8, and then 4, no, 2, no, and 1, no. So it's going to be simply 28 and 1. 28 for this, and 128 for this, and 8 for this. And if you put them together, 128 plus 8, that is 6, 3, 1, so 136, and that's the network IP address. Let's just clean this area here. And I can clean this as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the IP address, the network IP address. I'm going to put it here. Net IP equal 192.168, 136, 0, and 22. Let me extend this space here. And that simply means the first is going to be, first IP is going to equal 192.168. 136.1.2020. Now let's go ahead and talk about the broadcast. I told you that there are 2 ways to do the broadcast. There is the binary representation or using the wildcard. Let's go with the binary first. The binary method is simply, again, I know this part and this part, no change is going to be applied. We're simply going to be applying with those 2 parts. So I'm going to put them in binary. This is 1, 4 zeros, 1 0, and then 2 zeros, remember, and the line that separates the network portion from the host portion is this one, followed by 8 zeros. What I did here, let me just go ahead and put it back. This is simply 136.0. So for the subnet mask, we said we simply have to convert every one of those back to 1. So there's going to be 1. Oh, my bad. Let's just put it back to black. So there's going to be 1. It's going to be 1. Going to be 1. Going to be 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. Now if I look at this IP address, this is going to be 139.255. Okay, and that's the broadcast IP address. So let's go ahead and do that. Broadcast IP address. That's going to be 192.168, 139, 192.168.255/2022. Now that simply means the last IP address is simply going to be 192.168, 130, it's whatever, yeah, 139.254/22. Okay. Now, let me just show you now how do I get the broadcast again without doing this binary converting. So let me just take this all away. And to do so, we simply said we're going to use the subnet mask. Now remember here we got 192.168.136.0. This is again the network IP address. I need to find the wildcard for this one. So we subtract this IP address from 255. So this is going to give it me a 0. This is going to give me a 0. This here, 255 minus 252 is 3. And then 255 minus 0 is 255, so 255. Now you add them up together, this is going to be 192, 168, 139, 255. And that's my broadcast IP address. In case you're just wondering, before I start talking about that, let's just go ahead and have a look at the values that we have here. So my subnet mask is exactly the same. My first available IP address, the network IP address is correct. The first available IP address is the last available IP address, and of course the broadcast IP address. All of them are correct. Now, if you're wondering again, what is the broadcast IP address? Well, let's start with the network IP address. Think about the network IP address as something that's going to be shared by all the devices within one network. Every one of those machines inside this network will share the same exact network IP address. This is how we know that those machines or those computers or those hosts belong to a single network. How is that possible? When we check that all of them have exactly the same network IP address. Now, what is the broadcast IP address? The broadcast IP address simply is if one of the hosts, like for example, if you have a network that contains, let's say, 5 machines, machine 1, machine 2, machine 3, machine 4, machine 5, machine 6. If machine 1 want to send a message and want that message to go to all of these machines together, instead of sending this same message here and here and here and here and here, we simply send it using a broadcast IP address, which simply means, again, that broadcast IP address is going to be used by the network machine, the network device, to forward the message to all these machines. Instead of sending individual message to each one of those hosts, it's going to be the same message that's going to be transferred to all of these machines. How is that achievable? If you use the destination IP address as the broadcast IP address. This will be the end of this video, so we're done with the network calculations. In the next video, we're going to talk about subnetting. And the idea here, again, I'm going to explain it in a lot of details later, but the idea here is that you're going to be given a network IP address, and you'll be asked to break down that network IP address into smaller network IP address. We'll see 2 cases, and for each one of those cases, we'll see how do we get the job done using 2 different methods. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon.